Good morning. I'll edit this in the one thing, so we're good to go. We can still talk here for a minute. Wait until people show up. But I think that Thursday possibly
Well,
probably do.
maybe we could maybe we could also do something at the clinic, and then if they have like a TV that they run in the break room, we could let them run it.
I'll find out what they want to do, one way or the other, and we'll get it going.
I mean, we could go live there, but we could also make them something where they could play it.
Yep, or both. Well, good morning. We have some people starting to join us. We were just talking about we've got to do a presentation at one of the local factories because people are straining their backs. But as you can see from the title of this, we're going to talk about cholesterol and my cholesterol in particular. Jessica is here because she gets drug along for the ride and she does the cooking, and we are all about being healthy. So let's go into a little bit about what the things we are seeing are. And so when I pull up the first lab that I did on myself, we can see that this was done in July of 19, July 3rd of 19. And so what I do is I do a much more detailed profile than just the regular HDL, LDL, and triglycerides. That's, like I've said before, that's a 1950s test. And I do this because of the propensity of my family to have neurodegenerative diseases, dementia, Alzheimer's, and things like that. So I know that I'm APOE3/4, and we're going to actually start to do Jessica's because we want to start looking at high-sensitive C-reactive protein and homocysteine, which are markers of inflammation. But as we start out, the first thing I want to talk about is the LDLP, and we're going to do some definitions here. LDL-C is total cholesterol, total LDL cholesterol. This is the earlier of the measurements that they did. And this one came along afterwards. And what they found was it's not the size of, or it's not the number of the LDL cholesterol particles, but it's the size that matters. So in the incidence of cholesterol, size really does matter. And so when we're looking at this, we have to go in and we have to start to really look at, oh, daggone it, I have messed it up there. So when we go in here and we look at this, the first thing we start to see is that we have a problem, or we don't have a problem. Back to definitions. Particle number is basically the particles and how many there are. And as you can tell right here, we want to be less than 1,000. And I am clearly not less than 1,000. So the particle number that I have is way too high. So now we really got to start to look at what do these particles look like. So if you know, LDL actually takes cholesterol to the vessel. So wherever energy is needed, LDL is the transport to get it there. HDL brings it back. So that's your recycler. So when we look at that, we want to have these things all doing their job. We want to have proper size. We want to have proper, I do not know why this isn't allowing me to erase. Want to have proper size, and we want to have the proper number. And mine are both too many and too large. This is a bad pattern. So when we're looking at these patterns, and this is when I started to actually worry about myself because I was having symptoms, brain fog. I was worried about my testosterone. I was resistant to weight loss. I had big old man boobies, and I just didn't want these things. So I had to dig in and figure out why. When we look at my HDLC, once again, this is a complete count. We see that I'm a 79, greater than 39 is good. My triglycerides look fantastic because you do not want to see a pattern where your triglycerides are 2x your HDLs. If you see that, and you really want your triglycerides to be less than 100, this says 0 to 149. That's just not good. So we want that to be less than 100. Total cholesterol, you can see when they add up my LDLs and my HDLs, I am at a whopping 329. So cardiovascular risk for me at this time is pretty bad, because I have all the patterns that are bad except for my triglycerides. My triglycerides are not bad. And at this point in time, I'm paleo. I'm eating the Paleolithic diet. I was listening to Rob Wolf. I was starting to get into all this health stuff, and it's just not looking good for me. So at this point in time, I decide that I'm going to now come out of this, and I'm going to try to manipulate my patterns, and I'm going to go a little harder core paleo. I'm going to eliminate all my fruit. I'm going to eliminate legumes, and I want to change this for the better. Now, if we look at my insulin resistance score, hold on, where'd my LPIR score go? My LPIR score is less than 25, which is great. We want it to be less than 45, and I'm there hands down. So probably because I've had at this point in time good exercise habits. My diet wasn't really bad. I mean, we ate a lot of bacon at the time, didn't we, hon?
And we eat a lot of bacon.
You froze.
I did?
We did. And you're really glitchy.
Well, you're kind of glitchy now.
Uh-oh, that's not good. But anyway, we were eating a lot of red meat, a lot of pork, weren't we? And probably
we were eating just a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And so at this point in time, I now know that it's time to pay a little closer attention to what I'm doing. So then I run the next one on myself. And so now you have to think that I cut out all my fruit. I have cut out all of my legumes because paleo says legumes are bad. Get rid of the potatoes. Don't eat anything starchy, which at the time I had read a book called Missing Microbes, and I kind of had a little issue. I mean, I think we had this discussion, didn't we, hon? Talking about I just really have a hard time wrapping my head around that.
The potatoes?
Yeah, the potatoes and stuff like that, because we're eliminating a lot of fiber.
Yeah, because we didn't hardly eat any potatoes.
Hi, whoever. We have people say hello, introduce yourselves. So we go from 19, and I don't track my stuff because from that 7.3, my cholesterol, I just didn't track it as well as I should have. So then I go into Jessica's on board. We're going to start to do this. She doesn't want me to stroke out. And my numbers are like this. So if you remember on my 7.3 of 19, let's just go down the line. My LP, my LDLP went from 24.16 to 27.28. So this is not what I did not expect this. And I'm going at this point in time. Hi, Kathy. At this point in time, I'm looking at Jessica saying, what happened? What's going on here? You know, I don't understand this. And this is a worse profile. So then we look at the next one. Although my LDLC, the total number, went from a 235 to a 216. That's, as you can tell here, slightly better. I have dropped it. I'm still not in the range where I want to be, but this number is more important when we're thinking about cardiovascular risk, and I went the wrong way. And we've only done let me bring everybody back online here. We've only done your omega-3s, right?
Yeah, but that was like 4 years ago. But my blood work gets better and better. So the last time it was phenomenal on my lipid.
We need to do an NMR. We got to break your NMR down. When we look at the HDLCs here, I got my little cheat sheet over here so I can see what I'm doing. We went from a 79 to a 63. So this actually went down. It's not out of range, but it is one of those things that we see that we want to be greater than 39. So I've trended the wrong way. So my paleo eating and getting into what we call a dirty keto, which is I'm wanting to control my insulin, and I'm wanting to do everything I can to decrease inflammation. And I went the wrong way. Triglycerides went from a 76 to a 115. So at this point in time, I'm starting to think that I'm what we call a hyper responder. So as I'm eating more red meat, as I am eating, but we're not necessarily eating at this point in time. We weren't eating all pastured grass fed, were we?
No, because we've only done that for like the past year and a half. But we were eating. So I'm trying to think about what you're doing. So you still drink alcohol here. You were still eating. Well, we were still getting good quality beef, but we were. I think we still ate out like once a week.
I think you're right. If I remember right, this was the alcohol. And if I remember right, that the day or two before that test, I actually had a couple of glasses of wine, if I remember right.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
But look at what my total cholesterol did. I went from a 329 to 302. So that's a little positive for me. I'm going, okay, at least I'm trending the right way, but my composition got a little worse. So sometimes you get a little worse before you get better. When we look at the HDLP, I went from a 28.6 to a 35.6. And as you can see, the greater than 30.5 is good. So my recycling, the bringing the cholesterol back to the liver to have this go into the system and be recycled. Remember, your body produces between 75 and 85% of your cholesterol you need per day. And so it does this, it recycles it. You really only need a small amount of cholesterol in the diet, but this is where you can start to play with it. Remember my omega-3 scores. My omega-3 score on that first one in 19 was bad. And then I started to take a tablespoon of the Metagenics EPA DHA high concentrate, and my profile got a bunch better. And so my omega-3s went way up to about 12%. And this is where I'm looking and I'm saying, good, I'm doing the right thing. I need to do some tweaking. We need to do some tweaking, but we've got to get it to go the right way and a little better. Small LDLP size went through the roof from a 167. I really don't like that, because that means I have these small, hard, dense atherosclerotic plaques. And right now, if I was in a normal medical train, I would be getting statins like nobody's business. Because I am at this point in time doing damage, even though I'm on a good paleo keto type of diet, things are not trending the right way for me. Other than my cholesterol dropped, but when you peel back the layer and you look at the underpinning things, there are things that are wrong that need to be corrected. Otherwise, even with whatever I have cholesterol wise and omega-3s, I'm going to have a problem. That probably I have a heart attack, or in my family, I'm going to get dementia. And I already do dumb enough stuff. Jess can tell you. And so we see that I trended up. The VLDLs are high. My HDL size is low, trending absolutely the wrong way. My LPIR score, so this is a function of looking at all of these HDLs, LDLs, insulin, blood sugar, and stuff like that. I'm still pretty good for insulin resistance. So I am not having a problem with my insulin going too bonkers and causing a big issue. But look at that score. Remember, we want fasting insulin. To be between 3 and 4, and absolutely no greater than 6. And I'm at an 8.1. So my insulin is too high. So even if I'm taking the omega-3 fatty acids, that insulin is oxidizing those fats, and that's what's causing the problems. So at this point in time, I decided to give up alcohol, which lucky for me wasn't hard because Jessica doesn't drink. I did do a homocysteine on myself January 13th. I'm a little ahead of myself here. We still got to go back to, we'll come back to homocysteine. That was number 2 at 512. And now we need to go to 413 of 21. So now, oh, we need to go 528. Sorry, skipped one. So now here it even trended a little worse and jumped up to a 2775. So I still have the small, dense, hard particles in there, and they're still going along. And that's a very atherosclerotic particle. And I'm not understanding, why can I be keto and why am I doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing? I've given up alcohol and I'm not oxidizing my fats anymore with alcohol. Why am I trending the wrong way? Now, I only gave it 2 weeks, a couple of weeks, and I was like, but that was still going the wrong way. So I am thinking in hindsight that I was riding that wave and I peaked, and then I'm going to start to come down. When we look at LDLC, which is the complete count of the small particles, that went up from 216 to 239. And we went from 2728 to 2775. So I'm still going up the hill and not doing good things for myself. And like I said, what causes, or in thinking about the things that I've talked about already, what am I missing that can start to drop cholesterol? Jess, do you know? I'm putting you on the spot.
A lot of fiber.
Not getting a lot of fiber. Definitely heavy on the protein. But I'm starting to do some reading and research into fiber. Remember, I really like Dr. Walls, and she's saying that we've got to be getting between 40 and 120 grams of fiber. 40 is a minimum. She likes 80 and 120. And at this point in time, I'm sorry, I talked over top of you. What'd you say?
I said, and that's very hard for most people.
Typical American gets between 8 and 12. And when we were keto and doing this before we switched a little bit, at this point in time, we were probably getting maybe 15 to 20. I'd have to go look back in Chronometer and see what was what. But things I do like, my triglycerides dropped. I went from 115 to 87. And that's what keto is designed to do. Keto is a tool to drop blood sugar and insulin in particular. Keto is very good at dropping your insulin levels. And so we see that. And I dropped my total cholesterol. Total cholesterol went up from a 302. So far, being paleo and keto, every time I take my cholesterol, I go up. And I'm not lean mass by any means, but I'm one of those what they call hyper responders. Red meat, heavy protein like that causes issues. So sterols in beans are things that will lower your cholesterol. Red yeast extract is a green medicine to lower cholesterol. I never took any green medicines. I tried a little niacin, had a horrible reaction to it. You can ask Jess. My face turned bright red and I itched. And she goes, you told me I was having an allergic reaction. So we have a question. So Kathy asked, what do we use to track fiber intake? And so I use and track with my patients. Well, I shouldn't say we use a Chronometer, which allows us to track lots of different things. Let me see if I can bring that up real quick. Where is my Chronometer? I haven't logged anything today.
The chronometer is pretty cool, and it tracks all kinds of things. But you could use there's all kinds of apps.
So we hit this, and oh, nice. They just upgraded it. Cool. So if you see here, this is the app, and I can track what I've consumed, what I've burned, and what's remaining. Went hunting this morning and did a lot of walking. This is energy, protein, net carbs, and fat. So people that are keto, people that are paleo, they kind of want to know what the proteins and their fats are. And there's debate about how much should you follow net carbs, total carbs, what are the issues. I'm kind of a net carb person, having done this now, because I can eat a lot of carbs, and you can ask Jessica how many vegetables and stuff I eat, and I will still remain not in ketosis per se, but I always have ketones present in my bloodstream. And so that's why I do net carbs, because fiber matters a lot. And you can see all the different things that you can follow: fiber, iron, calcium, vitamin A, vitamin C, B12, folate, and potassium. And people who have methylation issues, this folate right here, that's very important. Folate is what gives you the natural methylating factors, and you find those in dark leafy greens. B12, cyanocobalamin is very important. And now we can start to see that they've added in immune support, antioxidants, and these are things that are new to the app that they're starting to break out because of people wanting to know, how do I become more healthy? And so using chronometer now, you can see where you're supporting your immune system through having a diverse diet, high polyphenols, high bioflavonoids, and those things are what matter. And it starts to break it down into, are you supporting bone? Are you supporting the metabolism? And that's all actually very new. And then sorry, I missed that.
Oh, you hit on polyphenols. Everybody's always afraid of fat, but those polyphenols, you can get something that's really, really high in polyphenols. Those are actually shown to actually help you lose weight.
Yeah. Well, we get a very high polyphenol content olive oil from Galena Garlic Factory. For those of you that are in this area, in Madison, we have a fabulous olive oil store called the Galena Garlic Factory. I highly recommend going down there, highly recommend getting that. And I started to up my polyphenol content at this time because I need to break stuff down. I need to have I got to get my house in order because I am literally killing myself. My LDLP dropped from a 739, so this is finally going in the right direction.
Well, you were absolutely eating a fabulous diet here, so a lot of times people look at that and think, oh, you're just eating garbage, but you really weren't.
And we're eating a fabulous diet. It takes a moment to stop the ball from rolling downhill and push it back up. Let's see. So Kathy agrees with us. How many people have tried the Galena Garlic Factory that are online right now? So we have, and Kathy has. Tina, have you tried the Galena Garlic Factory? Oh, Jess and I, we have a ball when we go down there because we take their little taster cup. Yep. Well, we've actually recorded a date night down there, or date day was Saturday.
Yeah.
And then we see that my size looks good because I'm still bigger than the 20.5. My LDLP, once again, trending the right way, but still not good. My total or my particle size on my HDLs dropped a little bit, and that was a little concerning. But now I want to go in to see my LPIR score drop below 25, which is fabulous, which is where I want to be. Glucose, fasting glucose is an 89, which is great. And evidently, I forgot to submit my lavender top for hemoglobin A1c. I think I did it in office at the time, and I've always been around that 5. I've been between 5 and 5.5 almost always. C-reactive protein, which is a marker for inflammation and heart issues, is very low on me. It's a 0.27. We don't want to see that get above a 0.75 optimally. And my insulin came down 5.2. Remember, I am shooting for a 3 to 4, but definitely less than 6. And free testosterone is looking pretty good on me. So next we go from 528. So I did that in 2 weeks. So starting to go open my diet up a little more, trusting the stuff that I was reading from Mark Hyman and listening to everybody about the polyphenols and the bioflavonoids and the kneading the beans, restricting my red meat. Actually, I've really been enjoying those ahi tuna steaks. I know they're high in mercury, but I don't tend to have an issue with that so far. Jessica, you don't do too well with the ahi tuna, though, do you?
Because I'm allergic to tuna. We tested it. I'm pretty sure I'm allergic to tuna.
Yeah, you were also, but when we did that food sensitivities panel on you, you were also sensitive to salmon. But I think that's because you were just eating the salmon and you still had a leaky gut.
Yeah, salmon doesn't hurt me. Salmon
And
is my friend.
now we're going through, and I've gone several months because I'm trying to give myself a chance to catch up, to implement some change. And here we are, January of this year, and my LDLP has dropped from a 2775 to a 2724. So bringing in the beans, bringing in the fiber, bringing in the polyphenols has now started to actually drop the LDLP, which is what I want it to do. It's still too high, but it's trending the right way. Let me get to my little cheat sheet here. My LDLC only dropped slightly, but it is trending the right way. When we look at total cholesterol, I dropped it quite a bit. We went from a 3, well, not quite a bit, but we dropped it from a 324 to a 309. Triglycerides are beautiful. My HDLC looks great. Those are good numbers, good solid numbers. My HDLP particle number looks great. It's greater than 30.5. My small LDLP finally underneath the number. And so I'm getting out of that atherogenic, atherosclerotic, heart harming profile. And this is what I want. This is what I want to see. My LDL size is still good, still bigger than that. I would like to see that come up a little bit. For the way that we eat and the way that we use food as medicine, we should really start to see this change. And we've gone away from keto at this point in time, and we are bringing in sweet potatoes. Jessica found she loves these Chinese.
Oh, the Asian. They're really dark burgundy red sweet potatoes, and they're kind of smaller, and they have a white flesh. I think they're called Asian sweet potatoes, and they are not as sweet as a regular sweet potato. They're not as soft. They kind of have the texture of a real potato, but they're a little harder, but they're not as sweet, but they are fabulous.
And at this point in time, I have eliminated ketchup.
Which I can't see the date on this one. What date is this?
This date is January 13th of this year.
Do you have another one after this?
Yep, one more after this. So I have eliminated ketchup. I love ketchup.
No, he doesn't just love ketchup. He doesn't have ketchup on his steak. He has steak with his ketchup.
I would put ketchup on Jessica if she would let me. So at this point in time, I have eliminated ketchup, and I've found a really good hot sauce that I like that has no bad junk in it. And I don't like hot sauce or hot stuff, but
just pay the extra money for the sriracha.
Do you know, can you show them, can you get them the bottle that we use, please?
Yeah, and if you're ever in doubt, get the one with the wooden screw top.
Yeah, the bigger one.
My son always pays the 98 cents for the hot sauce, but I'm like, son, just buy the good stuff. So when Mom shops for him, I buy the good stuff, and actually now we only buy it's the Cholula. Can you see this?
Yep. Hold on, let me just put you on screen. I don't know that I can do that.
It's okay. Just buy the one that has the wooden top. It's the only one that has the wooden top. Now, granted, this one cost about $7 or $8, but it's a hot sauce that you can actually probably drink. It's not that hot, and it doesn't burn your stomach. It's so good, and there's actually nothing in there except the peppers and vinegar, I believe. If I had my glasses, I'd tell you what the ingredients are. But here, where is it?
So with that, we have that stuff, and a little goes a long way. And we put it on our potatoes.
Like drops, literally drops.
Yes. And on the salmon. I had it on the ahi tuna last night rather than using my Bragg's aminos. So really, really like that stuff. And it doesn't spike my insulin. So back to the glucose. An 89. Remember, fasting glucose, we want to see between 75 and 85, and I'm just a little out of the range there. Hemoglobin A1c is a 5.6. Now, ideally, we want to see A1c less than 5, but there's a caveat here. The caveat is that A1c, if you do any or have done any endurance athletics, and I've played soccer, done all the triathlons and all of that stuff, anytime you do that, your red blood cells will hang around a little longer. And so this is a little elevated just because of that. But I would still, I've seen my low be a 5.1. This is one of my highest readings at a 5.6, 5.7. That actually puts me at pre-diabetic, but I really didn't change anything because I feel like I'm on a good path, other than my insulin is just a touch high. So I'm going to pay a little more attention, and I'm going to increase my fiber. And so now we go to the last one, which was, where's my 413? Yes. So 3 months later, following the same diet, increasing my fiber, trying to open up, I started eating bananas again. I started eating apples again. I eat a lot of, and this is for me, everybody, hi Val, everybody is different. So to sit here and tell you that if you follow the way that I eat, you're going to get these results, that's not true. You have to track it. So when we look at my lipoprotein, when we look at my cholesterol profile, the NMR, this is the lowest it's been. Still too high, but not 277. Yes, ma'am?
I was going to add to, so before this one, we actually took biome tests. So
Yes.
we measured the bacteria in the gut and found that we were not eating well for ourselves. So what Trevor's gut needed wasn't what my gut needed. So then we took that information and tweaked it, so we added more carbs back and different things back to his diet. And so the alcohol was eliminated, and then eliminated dairy. We eliminated eggs. What else? Red meat.
Pretty much red meat. If we eat red meat right now, it's bison. We are in the last stage of our elimination diet through the Institute for Functional Medicine. And so bison.
This one is based on your diet that we used for your biome, right?
Yes. And we added in, we started at the beginning of the month. So at the beginning of April, we started an elimination diet, which is not really an elimination diet. We added a whole bunch of stuff back in, but we did take out dairy, soy, wheat.
I mean, we never ate any wheat really, but dairy and eggs were big.
Yeah. One. Oh yeah, eggs. We've both added eggs back in. She had a reaction to eggs. I did not.
Yeah, within 30 minutes. Like, if you do this elimination diet, there's no doubt when you have a reaction to the food. Like, because it's almost, for me, it was almost immediate.
Yeah. And I haven't had any. What you're looking for when you do an elimination diet is you are trying to gauge an IgG response, which can go from almost immediate up to 72 hours later. And so we've pulled all of this out for about 2 weeks. Now, had I been smart, I would have done this right at the beginning of my elimination diet, but I just wasn't even thinking about it. But look at this. My total LDL-C dropped to 175. So I'm still in the high, but it's the first time I've been in the range. When we look at HDL-C, greater than 39, and I'm at 60, triglycerides are staying in a beautiful place. So if there's one correlation that I can draw for myself, if I'm going to have a beer or a glass of wine, I know my triglycerides are going to go bonkers. My total cholesterol is now below 300 for the first time in a long time. And actually, when I get this number right here down to where I want it in this low area, hi, Kathy. When I get that to there, if my total cholesterol stays here, I'm not really going to worry about it. But I would imagine with doing this high polyphenol, higher fiber, a lot more colors, as I do this diet, I believe this is actually going to fall down into that 200, sub 200 range. And I'll be okay with that. I mean, if it stays above 200, as long as that one and this stay low and my the particle number up there you see is 2155 is too high, but the small atherosclerotic LDLs for the first time are in a good place. And so I am not so worried about metabolic syndrome. I'm not so worried about cardiovascular disease. I'm not worried about these things because these are now trending the right way. So when we look at that, and once again, I mean, Jessica's been with me on this whole journey, and she watches what we do and what we eat, and we don't have any packaged crap in the house now, do we?
It's a rarity only when the kids bring it in, but now the kids are getting on board, so now they choose not to bring it in either because they realize that they get sick.
Yeah, Casey eliminated. I'm gonna let out a little information. Casey has eliminated soda, so we're talking about a 20-year-old that has eliminated soda. Went to the movies, drank a soda, came back and had almost immediate GI issues. And so that stuff's just bad. Give it up.
Well, like give him a little praise here. So he's 20. He came in last night and he made his own macaroni and cheese with cauliflower.
And
so he's
cream, and
real cream, ghee, bacon. But I think the bacon was the only thing that was actually in there that was not good. So he's learning to buy quality, to cook for himself, and I think that's awesome.
And so my LPIR score is fabulous at a 25. My fasting glucose, first time it's been between that 75 and 85. And then we look at my hemoglobin A1c of 5.5. Once I get into this 5.6, they consider me pre-diabetic. I am assuming that's kind of I'm not assuming. I know it's a little higher because of what I do. When I bike, I did 40 miles the other day on the bike, running to the bank and back and walking around and doing stuff. Anybody that does endurance athletics, has done endurance athletics, people who are post-Ironman and triathletes, that number is going to be high, and that's not a bad thing. Cardiac risk, the C-reactive protein on me is at a 0.7, and so I'm not sure there. I don't want that to get to 0.75 because that's when it's really, really bad. My insulin, 3.1. So I have a little inflammation, and here is why I think there's a little inflammation and why the cardiac C-reactive protein is up, because I have positive antibodies for the SARS-CoV-1, or COVID-19, CoV-2. That's just showing that I've been affected by the virus. My body is fighting it. Anytime you have a virus or you're fighting something, inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein and homocysteine go up. But as long as my homocysteine is less than 9, I'm happy. And so
another thing that you eliminated here also, because I know we have tons of people that just love caffeine. You did eliminate all your caffeine. You did go to your teas, remember?
I did go to my teas. We'll get to test that a little bit because I did reintroduce my caffeine, but it's not my Keon coffee that I normally drink. I am now drinking the Four Sigmatic ashwagandha mushroom coffee. So this has ashwagandha mushrooms, which are an adaptogen, which help balance the immune system, and they help balance all those. Adaptogenic means that it's a balancer. If something needs to come up, it brings it up. If something needs to go down, it takes it down, and it will take it'll take my immune system and help ramp it up to fight any of the COVID crap. I mean, We don't know when I had it. I mean, have I stopped? Was I ever down? Down?
Well, no, I mean, you live with me, so I work in the ICU a lot with COVID. I mean, I've been knee deep in COVID for a long time, so
And so the only thing when we really suspected that I had finally been really hit by uh, the COVID virus was when we were in Chicago for the American Girl doll trip. And I sprayed cologne because Jessica likes cologne and I don't typically wear cologne unless it's a special occasion. And I sprayed it and I couldn't smell it. And I said, "Hun, can you smell that?" And you said,
oh, I can smell that. But
"Yeah,
but your sense of smell is not very strong, whereas mine is.
yeah, she smells everything." So,
Unfortunately.
and so that's where that's at. So it is, I mean, this is truly us just doing diet and lifestyle and us living what we do and tracking it. And
Well, and we
so,
got really specific on how we tracked it. So we were just we actually brought this we actually sat down and brought this for our functional medicine patients. Like, we're gonna start here because we were grasping at straws and doing this and doing that and doing this. And so we specifically tested for the biome and then started tweaking each other's diet for their specific biome.
yes.
And we really seen a dramatic turnaround in your just in your test.
And I believe our functional medicine patients have also started to see those same results. If any of our functional medicine patients that are online want to chime in, feel free. And with that, I mean, remember, we did this cooking. We did this
Yeah, there's no
by
drugs involved.
no drugs whatsoever and no hard exercise. I mean, I haven't been doing CrossFit for quite a while now. And so I've pretty much dropped all my CrossFit and that type of exercise. Now she does work like a borrowed mule at the house with redoing the floors and the bathroom and stuff like that. But that's a good thing. I mean, being able to actually just go and work and do is not bad. And that's, I mean, isn't that why we all do this anyway? We want to be able to do the things we want to do when we want to do them and not have to think about it. So, with that said, unless there are any questions, we have shared an hour of time with you all, and I really do appreciate your time here and looking at this. I'm going to put a couple things up. Jess, you want to say some stuff?
Yeah, I do actually, because you don't actually have to live close to us for us to help you if you have labs like this or are interested in changing your diet specifically for yourself. Because those biome tests we can ship and we can do those reports and help you tweak your own diet.
So if you want to talk to us, I will put this up. Our website is integratedhealthofindiana.com. On there, you can email me, Dr. Miller at integratedhealthofindiana.com.
Well, and diets aren't always cookie cutter, so diets
No,
are exclusive to the individual. And even in our house, I eat just a little different than Trevor does. Because what I need, he doesn't necessarily need, and what he needs, I don't necessarily need.
I'm a little heavier on protein. She's a little heavier on carbs.
Well, and I think my biome thinks that I needed to eat a fermented food every day, and that I actually wasn't eating any carbs, like not like grains, and I actually need grain, and I actually have added. Um, I'm not sure. Can I tell him about my protein thingy
You
and
do
stuff?
whatever you want. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not a big proponent. I can't eat pills. Like I can take the supplements for just a little bit, and after about 30 days I'm done. I just get fatigued. However, I needed a little more vitamins and things. So Trevor has his little coffee and it's like sludge and it's irpy to me. So I actually was just looking for a supplement that I could add to my coffee. And I'm just going to add up. I just love the pink stuff. Lady Boss Lean. I have never bought anything that I've never thrown away or ever reordered. But I add a scoop of Lady Boss Lean to my coffee with collagen. And within probably 2 weeks, I could feel that I felt much better. I had more energy, but it actually was a pretty good product, and it had
Pretty clean.
It is very clean. They use pasture raised sources for their protein, and they hype up that they have total nutrition and it's geared towards women, but I would suggest that, and I've actually shared that with friends, and I think I've reordered it I'm on my 3rd month of reordering. It'll be the 3rd time I've reordered it. But I added a little bit more greens. I've eaten my fermented food, and I've added that to my coffee.
And I took out coconut oil, and I took out putting butter in my coffee also, because those are saturated fats that I tend to react to. So it's getting to know those things. Now we are using ghee and a lot of ghee, but
well, and we also I will actually throw up a little positivity for the oat milk. So I would put creamer in my coffee, but it still hurt my stomach. But I still liked the creamer in my coffee, so I will actually add oat milk or oat creamer, and I don't have any issues with oat creamer.
And so in the comments section of this, I have put up our website, I put up our email, and then if you want to try to find somebody close, you don't want to work with us or with us and our health coaches, the ifm.org has a list of functional medicine doctors. I'm in that same database. You'll find me if you search me in their database, and they are the functional medicine. They're the people that have led us to this to also help our patients, on top of how many books a week do I read on this stuff? Actually, it's getting pretty skinny now. I'm having a hard time finding books I haven't read. So it is one of those things where it has been just an absolutely fun journey, and now we're getting to help people with it.
And with that, puzzles.
We like puzzles. And with that said, you all have a great day, and I will see you next time. We'll see you on the next Talk at 10. Thank you.